Would board members please take their seats? Board members, please come to the dais. This May 11th, 2017 regular meeting of the Fairfax County School Board will now come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, a moment of silence, and the performance of the national anthem by the West Potomac High School a cappella under the direction of K1 Kopko.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight toward the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets' red guns bursting in air gave proof through the night that
That was beautifully done. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you, parents, for loaning your wonderful, talented students. In order to comply with Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia, it's necessary for the board to certify that since the Fairfax County School Board convened a closed meeting on May 11, 2017, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the board during the closed meeting. Do I have a motion? Moved by Ms. Palchek, seconded by Mrs. Corbett-Sanders. All those in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous with Ms. Derenak-Kofax away from the table. A few announcements before we begin tonight's meeting. Ms. Derenak-Kofax and Ms. Chu will be absent this evening. If you would like to review a copy of the agenda and any agenda item that's being discussed tonight, that information is on the table by the auditorium entrance. Tonight's agenda is available by going to School Board on the FCPS homepage and selecting Board Docs under Upcoming School Board Meetings. The meeting is also being streamed live online. Select School Board from the full menu, then click on the Watch Live button on the School Board Meetings webpage. Please turn off or silence your cell phone. I will now call on Mrs. Strauss for some announcements.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This week is Children's Book Week. Children's Book Week, a national celebration of reading, storytelling, and book-related events, observes its 97th anniversary in 2016 and is the longest-running national literacy initiative in the country. Established to promote higher standards in children's books, the week grew to involve librarians, publishers, and booksellers, and is administered by Every Child a Reader, a 501c3 literary organization dedicated to instilling a lifelong love of reading in children. Nationwide, author and illustrator events take place each year, and the Children's Choice Book Awards, the only national Child Chosen Book Awards program, are announced during this week. This is also Food Allergy Awareness Week. Created in 1998 by the Food Allergy Research and Education Incorporated, Food Allergy Awareness Week shines a spotlight on the seriousness of food allergies and helps to improve public understanding of this potentially life-threatening medical condition. By increasing awareness, we can encourage, respect, promote safety, and improve the quality of life of all those affected by food allergies and anaphylaxis. Food allergies affect up to 15 million Americans, including nearly 6 million children, roughly 2 in every classroom. The number of children with food allergies in the United States increased 50% between 1997 and 2011, but there is no clear answer as to why. Every 3 minutes, a food allergy reaction sends someone to the emergency room in the U.S. You can learn more about food allergies and anaphylaxis by visiting the Food Allergy Research and Education website at www.foodallergy.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Strauss. We now turn to item 2.04, recognition of National Adult and Continuing Education Week, and I call on Mr. Moon for the recognition.
Gracias, Madam Chair. Buenas noches. Bienvenidos a nuestro reunión de Junta de Educación de Fairfax County. Desde el verano pasado, yo he estado estudiando un poco de español básico en nuestro programa de educación adulto y comunidad. Por lo tanto, tiene sentido usar algo de español antes de leer este reconocimiento. You may be wondering what I just said.
Señor Moon, excelente.
Gracias, gracias. As I was about to read the recognition of a National Adult and Continuing Education Week, May 15 through 19, 2017, I realized that I've been studying a little bit of Spanish through our own ACE program. And I just wanted to demonstrate this evening what you could do with what you learned from our ACE program. As you know, Madam Chair, our ACE began with 100 ACE students, only 100 ACE students 60 years ago. Now we serve more than 26,000 students in over 20 content areas in 4,000 different courses. If any of my board member wants to know how to sign up for ACE class, just give me a call. Then I'll let you know how to do it. And I do take 2 hours every Saturday and got to do a little bit of homework before you go to class. But if you're willing to put in anywhere between 2 to 5 hours a week, you can do this. So with that, let me read this recognition. The Adult and Community Education program of Fairfax County Public Schools began with an action by the school board in 1955, and in the over 60 years of the program's existence, thousands of adults have learned essential skills and completed their high school educations. Through the years, adults have learned new languages, acquired job skills, transitioned to new careers, and grown as workers, citizens, parents. The Fairfax County communities has looked to ACE to help develop our workforce, provide solutions to community problems through education, and create culture of lifelong learnings for residents of all ages. Adult and community education has made a major contribution to the school system as a laboratory of innovation for the piloting of new programs and services in support of pre-K through 12 education through family literacy, summer programs, extended day programs, enrichment courses, and driver education. Through creative programming and targeted advocacy for the adult learners, as well as providing enrichment opportunities for youth beyond the school day, ACE has helped to create a dynamic learning community for all generations in Fairfax County. And at this time, Madam Chair, I would like to invite ACE staff. I see quite a few there who are in the audience to join me at the dais. I also would like to invite ACE advisory committee members to join us for a picture with the board members.
And Madam Chairman, I'd like just a moment of privilege here.
Absolutely.
And
Mrs. Strauss.
Cappies is also a major user and partner with ACE for some of our needs. And I would like to publicly thank Vicki Garner, who is one of our major people in ACE. There we go. They are wonderful, wonderful people to work with and incredible partners for our children who are in school and other community needs. So thank you, Vicki Garner. You are a wonderful face and representative of our ACE program. Thank you.
right, and now we turn to several team recognitions, and we are delighted to recognize several teams. Item 2.05, W.T. Woodson High School Boys Varsity Basketball Team Recognition, and I call on Ms. McLaughlin for the recognition.
This evening, the Fairfax County School Board would like to congratulate the outstanding accomplishments of the W.T. Woodson High School Boys Varsity Basketball Team. In their first state championship game appearance, the Woodson Cavaliers won the Virginia High School League 6A Boys State Championship title in Richmond, Virginia, with an exciting 55-50 overtime victory over the Hilton Bulldogs. Woodson's team was ranked 9th in the Washington Post Top 20. To reach the championship, the Cavaliers finished second in the 6A North Region Championship, along with a season record of 26 wins and 6 losses. We congratulate varsity coach Douglas Craig, assistant coaches Bobby Huntley Jr., Lorenzo Sims, Steve Traeger, and the boys varsity basketball team. On behalf of the board, I would like to present the team and coaches with a certificate of recognition of their dedicated teamwork and state championship title. We wish you all the best in your future athletic and academic endeavors. And at this time, I would like to invite the coaches and the members of the state championship Woodson High School basketball team to join me and my colleagues at the dais for a photo.
something before they walk away.
Mr. Moon?
Yeah, Madam Chair, before Woodson players and coaches walk away, I just want to note that both Mr. McElveen and I were at your championship game down in Richmond. We were cheering hard on the court side, and we were so loud that we almost got kicked out. But thank you for the opportunity.
Congratulations. And we now turn to item 2.06, Westfield High School Varsity Football Recognition, and I call on Mr. Moon for the recognition.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This time I am not going to try my Spanish. Yeah, this is a recognition for Westfield High School Varsity Football State Championships. As a sports fan and a football player wannabe, believe it or not, it is my great pleasure and an honor to recognize the Westfield High School Bulldogs for 2 consecutive state championship seasons. I attended both of these amazing state championship games. There was at UVA in 2015 and Hampton University in 2016, and found, in spite of the cold weathers, the entertainment, excitement, and sportsmanship to be unprecedented, even in Monday Night Football. For example, in 2015, they went into triple overtime and required us to hold Oscar Smith Tigers almost at the goal line to win in the triple overtime, 49-42. That's the score I recollect. And the last year, earlier this year actually, December of 2016, against the same team, Oscar Smith, we went into double overtime, once again stopping them at the 3-yard line. Had they scored that one, we would have lost by 1 point. So congratulations to our Westfield Bulldogs. These young men worked hard on the field while maintaining their academic levels. They created the team spirit so necessary for a winning season, and they dominated in a top sport. Congratulations to Bulldogs again. At this time, I would like to invite the coaches and the members of the champion Westfield Bulldogs varsity football team to join me and other board members at the dais for a photo. I believe that we have Coach Kyle Simmons, Assistant Coach John Shears, and several players. I don't know whether Dr. Copeland, the principal, is here, but please, family members, you can join us too.
Congratulations, Westfield. Now we turn to 2.07, McLean High School Highlanders Girls Gymnastics Team recognition, and I call on Mrs. Strauss for the recognition.
Thank you. The Fairfax County School Board would like to congratulate the McLean Highlanders Girls Gymnastics Team for their outstanding accomplishments. The McLean Highlanders won the 6A North Region competition, then went on to win the Liberty Conference meet and completed a Triple Crown victory by winning the VHSL 6A State Championship meet on February 17th at Patriot High School. We would also like to congratulate Coach Courtney Lesson for leading the team to victory. This was their second state title in the past 3 years. On behalf of the school board, we wish you continued success and congratulate you again for all your hard work and dedication. So at this time, would the coach and our gymnastics team and any other parents or supporters like to come down for a picture?
And now to item 2.08, the Madison High School Girls Swim and Dive Team recognition, and I call on Ms. Hines for the recognition.
Well, you know, if we're celebrating state championships, Madison High School has got to get in on the act, right? So tonight we are celebrating the Madison High School 6A Girls Swim and Dive Team. After completing a perfect regular season and breaking school records in several individual events, the Madison Girls Swim and Dive Team continued their success by winning the school's first ever 6A Northern Region title in early February. The Warhawks then captured the 2017 Virginia High School League 6A State Championship on February 17 after finishing with 230 points, beating second place Robinson by 64 points. The team is the first in the school's history to win a state swim and dive championship, and they did it without winning a single event. They relied on their depth to win the championship. That is interesting. The team boasts 2 automatic All-Americans in the 200 freestyle and 100 breaststroke, as well as having athletes in 6 other events under consideration for All-American status. The team also has 5 seniors who were recognized by the National Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association as academic All-Americans this year. The full team was a gold level NISCA scholar team with a cumulative GPA of 3.776. The Fairfax County School Board is delighted to recognize the Madison Girls Swim and Dive Team and their coaches for their dedicated teamwork during this impressive season, and we extend our hearty congratulations on your first state championship title. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone here who's from Madison, from the team, coaches, families, please come down for a picture.
Again, congratulations, Madison Girls Swim and Dive. That was excellent work. We now turn to item 3.01, citizen participation. The next order of business is citizen participation. Speakers are requested to limit their remarks to not more than 3 minutes. The school board will not hear statements involving issues that have been scheduled for public hearings, such as capital improvement program, the budget, and boundaries. Complaints regarding individual students or school-based employees should be directed to the appropriate school principal or other school official. Speakers should refrain from using personally identifiable information in connection with an individual student. Speakers are expected to deliver their comments with a decorum and respect appropriate to the conduct of the public's business. Please be mindful that there are often young children in attendance at these meetings or watching at home, so language should be appropriate for all age levels. Thank you for your cooperation, and thanks to those who have come out to speak to us tonight. Tonight we have 10 citizens signed up to address the board, and the first is Veronica Kinney. Mrs. Kinney? Welcome.
Thank you. Am I at the right distance here? Good evening. My name is Veronica Kinney. I live in the Stuart Pyramid. My family is of Latin origin, and one of my children is a graduate of Jeb Stuart High School. I'm here to talk about the agenda topic, fiscal year 17 bond referendum. I have many concerns about the way this board uses its funds. The biggest one is that our school system is currently running a huge deficit. As a result, our teachers are not receiving pay increases. Consequently, they are leaving FCPS, and the quality of education is rapidly falling. Our school board has a history of diverting bond money to fund pet projects. Singling out Jeb Stuart for a name change is your most recent one. The cost of this name change has been roughly calculated at $1 million. Add to this hundreds of dollars each family will have to incur in order to help outfit the school for new team and sporting goods equipment, which we all know FCPS usually cannot afford to fund at 100% of the cost. And then there will be the additional out-of-pocket cost for families for the so-called spirit wear or supportive t-shirts, caps, jackets, etc. We have been led to believe that no funding from the FCPS budget will be used for renaming Stuart. I am concerned that money from the FY17 bond will somehow be diverted for this controversial project of yours. And so I am demanding that a clause be added to the bond referendum specifically stating that no money will be diverted or spent from any part of the bond in any manner to make a name change to Jeb Stuart High School, especially in light of the fact that no final decision has been voted on this issue. More disturbing to me than the financial mismanagement of this board, perhaps, is the desire to implement a name change that caters to the political agenda of a few of the board members. How is it that positive videos about Jeb Stuart High School have disappeared from the FCPS website and YouTube playlist? Teachers are allowed to harass and intimidate students, telling them that they should say they attend Hitler High School? Really? Okay. The school website dropped the name Jeb. Who authorized this? Get it fixed so that it reflects our school's real name, Jeb Stuart High School, named after General James Ewell Brown Stuart, whose Civil War headquarters at Munson Hill was in the vicinity of the campus. General Stuart was a West Point graduate, a renowned cavalry officer, an American soldier sworn to God, country, and corps at a challenging period in this country's history, a period which we want to believe we can discard by simply erasing it from memory. Your actions and desire to force a name change to Stuart has created unnecessary racial tension in a school which was once held as an example of diversity and opportunity for minorities. Harmony, camaraderie, acceptance, and mutual respect were a source of Stuart pride. You have helped to poison our school with racial divide as a result of your so-called good intentions in pursuit of what is called political correctness, but I call political censorship. Stop tormenting and exploiting our children with your personal agenda. Focus on getting them an education and not indoctrination. Thank you.
Next speaker is Lori Guy, to be followed by Beth Mattoon, to be followed by Ed Hara. Lori Guy.
Hello, thank you for letting us talk to you tonight. I appreciate it. I'm representing my alumni. I am on a member for 50-year anniversary for the Jeb Stuart. Can you hear me? I'm sorry. For our 50th year anniversary. And a lot of us are concerned that this name change is causing a lot of distress among the people trying to organize. This is particularly aggravating because this is supposed to be a celebration. And currently we're getting at odds with one another over what's the school name. I mean, even on the website, if you Google Jeb Stuart, it comes up Stuart High School. I'm thinking, what is Stuart High School? It's Jeb Stuart High School. Jeb Stuart was a very, very incredible man. He was a very skillful reconnaissance military man. He went to West Point. A lot of good history on him. And for some reason, in the neighborhoods, people don't know this. People don't, oh, Jeb Stuart had slaves. No, he didn't. I mean, the revisionist history is just so appalling. And it's actually making a huge, huge impact on the students. Students are becoming very distressed. They have, there's a whole data of science and history on the social studies of these kids. Their cardio is off the charts. It's like 50% higher than it should be. Their grades are somewhat being impacted, and they're not being able to focus right. The women, the young girls, are being impacted the most, which you would think they're the most vulnerable. You should be a little bit more concerned what they are thinking and how they are digesting this information. So I'm really at odds with the whole idea of changing a name, a high school name. What is it going to get you? You're going to erase history? I mean, history is there for a reason. It happened. It's real. If you don't like it, okay, we made a mistake. Let's fix it. How can we fix it? Well, there's new schools, there's new parks, there's new everything. You can give other names of note to quality people that you like. Not a problem with that. But don't change history. It's just illogical. And I really think that you should think about this seriously because the rhetoric is getting very loud. And you can't go visit anyone anymore without this coming up. And people they're not just quietly sitting back and listening, they're actually hearing it and they don't like it. I saw someone at a breakfast, at a seminar, and I wasn't expecting to see her, and she was like, yeah, I can't believe it. So what I'm saying is think very clearly about this. Money is a huge issue. Virginia already has $1 billion deficit. We don't really have the funds to give it away on something like a name change. It doesn't make any sense. I guess my time's up.
Thank you.
So sorry. Thank you.
Beth Mattoon, to be followed by Ed Hara.
Hi, my name is Beth Mattoon. I'm a longtime resident of Fairfax County, a graduate of the county schools, a parent of Fairfax County graduate, and a former teacher in Fairfax County Public Schools. I'm here tonight to talk about the agenda topic covering the fiscal year 2017 bond referendum. It's my understanding that the school board and county government has drafted a capital improvement program creating projects to address the additional capacity needed to accommodate the projected student growth, specifically with buildings and renovations. When voters go to the polls in November, their understanding will be that the new school bond is for this purpose. If the bond passes and when the funds are allocated, I respectfully request that no funds be allocated to the name change at Jeb Stuart High School. My daughter's a graduate of Jeb Stuart, and I've spent many an hour at the school. We can clearly see that the school does not need renovation, and a change of signage is not a necessary capital improvement. In a budget-constrained environment like today, Focus should be given on not wasting public money on unpopular and controversial name changes when there's no compelling need. I support the recommendation that the name of Jeb Stuart High School be reinstated or be retained. The whole name change suggestion was based on the opinions of a few sort of undereducated teachers and students. So we really didn't teach our children about the history of Munson Hill and the Munson Hill area and Jeb Stuart, and we need to correct that error. It's never too late to learn. Let's concentrate on studying the facts and the history. Unfortunately, I've only got 3 minutes, so I can't share them here. If we don't teach our children to recognize and learn from our history, they'll never be able to connect the dots. So there's been a lot of press lately about the destroying of our history, and to paraphrase the former Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice, quote, "Tearing down monuments and statues to historical figures who owned slaves and is sanitizing history. And if we do it in order to feel better, that's a bad thing. Don't spend any funds to change the name of Jeb Stuart High School and ultimately all of the other controversial school names, because that can of worms, that can't be ignored. You have the option to educate instead. Let's use our schools to teach and not to distract our children with politics and debates about the past." Thank you for your time.
Ed Hara, to be followed by Cristian Barbosa.
Good evening. My name is Ed Hara. I'm a member of Knights of Columbus Council 8600 in Fairfax. I am also the director of the Culture of Life Committee for that council. The members of the Fairfax County School Board may remember in my March 23rd presentation when I spoke of the FLE curriculum and my personal reflections on how what is currently being taught to our students has had a lifelong deleterious effect upon my life. One of the issues which I wish to address tonight is the facing of the school board shortly of the school bond referendum, which includes requests for funds for new construction and renovation of schools. Part of the renovation should also include funds for renovating the family life education curriculum, which currently presents to our students encouragements to sexual behaviors and experimentations which have a long track record of hurting people. When the opportunity arose to again address my concerns to the school board, I began to wonder what more could be added to the many concerns the school board has already heard about the FLE. By now, you have probably heard it all. What I don't think you have heard in detail is the presentation of personal pain that unrestricted sexual expression can cause. 3 minutes before a school board is simply not enough time to discuss the personal, psychological, and emotional damage that results from misusing sex outside the boundaries that God gave us, which is traditional marriage of one man, one woman for one lifetime. And I doubt that you have the time to do research on the increasing number of people who are stepping forward to present their stories of abuse and sorrow which have happened as a result of this so-called sexual freedom. Dr. Jennifer Robach Morse, PhD, has one such website, the Ruth Institute, which is dedicated to the message of sexual restraint in all matters for the well-being of people, their families, and communities. This site has a special page called Survivors of the Sexual Revolution. I highly recommend it. I believe that every member of the school board wants only the best for our children and the school system in the Fairfax County. At the same time, I believe that you are inundated with demagoguery not entirely based on facts. The best decisions are always being made after speaking with those who have had personal experience with behaviors and ideas being considered. Therefore, rather than go on and on about the FLE curriculum tonight, I've given to Beverly Maheda my business card, which will be put into each one of your mailboxes. And I offer a simple and friendly invitation to you. Please call me, talk to me, get to know me. Let me tell you my story. Let me tell you what this type of sexual experimentation did to me personally. I do not want you to think of me as the enemy if you do not share my views, but rather to see me as a real flesh and blood human being with heartfelt concerns for you, our children, and our society. The only way to accomplish this is to sit down and talk and to become friends. We may never come to completely agree, but unless through friendship you can hear my voice, there's no chance you will understand what I am saying or see me in a positive light. With friendship and our mutual concern for the children of Fairfax County, I believe we can work on a bond referendum which will give us a workable FLE program renovated to teach our children morality and the proper safe use of God's gift of sexuality in the traditional concept of marriage. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you. I have Cristian Barbosa to be followed by Greg Gerlach, to be followed by Wanda Martinson.
Good evening. My name is Cristian Barbosa, and I'm a current resident of Fairfax County and graduate of Jeb Stuart High School, class of 2011. I'd like to address an item of concern in the fiscal year 17 bond referendum. I strongly object to the use of any bond funds or any hidden funds in the renaming of Jeb Stuart High School, a proposed change that will waste an estimated $1 million. I grew up a block from Jeb Stuart High, as did many of my friends. Our friend group in high school was reflective of the diversity of the Stuart community, with kids identifying as Vietnamese, Afghani, Ethiopian, Pakistani, Chinese, Punjabi, Latino, Georgian, and Black Americans. I myself am of mixed ethnic heritage, holding dual citizenship with the U.S. and Brazil. Most of my friends and I do not understand why the school board wants to make the school's name an issue. In our experiences, we never once saw nor had problems or insecurities stemming from the naming of the school after James Ewell Brown Stuart, a loyal man and native son of Virginia. I take great issue with the revision of history, especially the unfair judgment of people based solely on the perceived modern sensibilities and insecurities. Taking a historical person out of their context to judge and wipe them from the public eye is not only irresponsible but dangerous, as it makes us ignorant of their victories and failures and threatens the possibility that we don't learn from their experiences. Jeb Stuart was a graduate of West Point and served dutifully in the U.S. Army for a decade before the start of the Civil War. When war broke out, he was forced to make a difficult decision between standing with the nation he had served for 11 years and standing with the home and family for whom he had served. In 1861, he resigned his commission to the U.S. Army and joined the Confederate cause alongside his neighbors and family in the Commonwealth of Virginia. He quickly earned a deserved reputation as one of the most brilliant cavalry generals in American history and is still to this day renowned as a military leader. Now, Jeb Stuart fought for the Confederacy, which seceded in large part to preserve the morally indefensible institution of slavery. While he owned 2 slaves briefly and released them in 1859, years before the war, he nonetheless chose to fight in part because of the cause of slavery. And that choice should be examined and discussed, alongside his brilliant strategies, loyalty, and service to his home state. We do history and ourselves an immense disservice by removing his importance to the Commonwealth and to this region. Jeb's headquarters, as the school board might not know, was adjacent to the high school now bearing his name and played a key part in the conflict to see if this great nation could stand the test of secession in the Civil War. For this reason, I wholeheartedly support a movement to designate the region surrounding the school as a Jeb Stuart Historic District so as to raise awareness of the history of my community as it pertains to both my state and beloved nation. Creating an awareness of Jeb Stuart's achievements and praiseworthy qualities, along with his misguided mistakes, is more important and far more prudent in generating dialogue and study than spending in excess of $1 million blotting out his existence in order to pretend to have achieved some measure of perceived justice. I object to any fiscal year 17 bond funds being used to fund the irresponsible name change of Jeb Stuart High School and argue that the $1 million that would be siphoned off for this ill-conceived purpose be found better use, like increasing teacher salaries or funding after-school enrichment programs. I also advocate the school board amend the referendum document to prohibit such misuse of public funds. Thank you for your time.
Greg Gerlach.
Hi, how are you all? My name is Bryce Garlock, class of 72. Wife taught 80, 81. Both kids went to Stuart, 2000, 2002. And I'm here to talk about, what should not get funded, which you've heard from previous people. Knowledge is power. I attended the integration of Fairfax County Schools presentation at the Fairfax County Museum last weekend, and as there is no funding allocated, the issue to continue no funding needs to be addressed. I didn't see anybody up here at the museum, which is interesting, as the speaker was a Fairfax County teacher, and the topic is front and center of what you're considering spending money on. Put these things into perspective, all of the Arlington County 1950 school board members were fired by Richmond as Arlington was ready to move forward with integration. Obviously, Richmond was not. With that said, what do you think was in the hearts and minds of the Fairfax County School Board as they decided to proceed with integration? During a Q&A, when asked about the naming of schools during the period, specifically Jeb Stuart and Robert E. Lee, This subject matter expert, Fairfax County teacher, stated very matter-of-factly, high schools were named after places or people of prominence from Virginia. So this was standard practice, not a poke in the eye. Why a name change now after being open for 49 years? Change and offensive names are popular now. Are students really offended, or do they just want to get involved and be recognized? You serve the best interest of the community, not special constituencies. Correct? Interesting, Thomas Jellin's book, A Nation of Nations, which I'm sure you all are aware of, leads readers to believe the author's opinion is factual, that the 1950s Fairfax County School Board named the high school, Jeb Stuart, as a poke in the eye against people of color. There are no facts to support his opinion, and he has confirmed it was only his opinion. Based on verbiage used, the board has taken guidance from his book and or the NAACP, or guidance from those who have been influenced by them. Thank you.
Thank you. Wanda Martinson, to be followed by Diane Cooper-Gould.
Hi, my name is Wanda Martinson, and I'm concerned about the bond referendum, which lists renovation for an unspecified high school, and understand that the board can divert money from the bond for anything it chooses. And my concerns, you might divert it to fund the renaming of Jeb Stuart High School. I'm a mother of 2 Stuart graduates. Our community was surveyed about a name change. We said no. The students were surveyed 3 times. They said no. But those surveys didn't get the results the changers wanted, and FOIA documents reveal that our own school board member, Sandy Evans, has led the charge for change, even allowing NAACP members to help draft school board resolutions and arranging times for them to meet with her and students. Next, someone on the school board appointed an ad hoc committee to study the issue, and we learned that there are more members on the change side than on the keep side. One of the changers doesn't even live in Fairfax County. When school board members acted both advocate and judge, the outcome is rigged. There's no compelling need, and the process has not been fair or impartial. So here we are, defending a man who the Smithsonian recognizes as one of the Civil War's most brilliant military leaders. I heard that a few Jeb Stuart students were uncomfortable with the name. Having been taught by a teacher who said in class, "You might as well tell your friends you go to Hitler High." Well, that might make me uncomfortable too, frankly. We've not done justice to this man who fought mightily for his state of Virginia. For him, it wasn't about slavery. It was about patriotic duty. We need to teach context and not judge him by 2017 standards. Let's educate and not eradicate. So here we are, too, defending your predecessors, the school board of 1958, who tried mightily to keep schools open despite Richmond's heavy hand, the victims of unfair allegations that they selected a name because of racist issues, the honorable intent of the school board members who deliberated desegregation under Dillon law is evident in minutes and numerous books on the subject, and we've talked to their children who remember details. The U.S. government even awarded a federal grant to FCPS in recognition of rapid integration. No spit in the face. Changers have failed to prove malicious intent by the 58th School Board in naming Stuart. The only compelling need we find is for the 2017 School Board to restore the harmony in a school that not long ago was celebrated in the pages of National Geographic magazine for embracing its diversity. It's where my kids learn to judge classmates not by color of their skin, but by integrity and character. We should be applauding your predecessors, not vilifying them. Let's hope future generations judge you less harshly. In summary, I object to any bond funds being used to rename Stuart or any other school. And look out, Lee, Woodson, Mosby Woods, Thomas Jefferson, and even Lord Fairfax County, you might be next. Thank you.
Diane Cooper-Gould, to be followed by John Kochka, to be followed by Tom Penland.
Hi, good evening, members of the school board. My name is Diane Cooper-Gould, and I am the president of the newly formed SEPTA, Special Education PTA for Fairfax County. I myself am a dyslexic graduate of Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. Today we are here to support the school board referendum for capital improvements and to introduce our organization and its members. We would like to thank school board members Elizabeth Schultz, Dahlia Palchik, Megan McLaughlin, and Pat Hines for showing their support for the Fairfax County special needs community by attending our launch on April 25th, and by reaching out to our founding committee in the days and weeks prior and leading up to the event. Your early involvement is evidence of your deep commitment to ensuring that special needs students in Fairfax County develop to their full potential as scholars and community members. Fairfax County SEPTA supports the resolution to request that the Board of Supervisors take necessary and appropriate steps to put the school bond referendum on the November 2017 ballot. The adopted 2018 to 2022 CIP referendum on identified the substantial enrollment increases going forward. Specifically, more than 3,300 additional students are expected by the 21-22 school year, with additional growth expected to exceed 190,600 students. It is important to note that currently over 13% of Fairfax County students are enrolled in special education, meaning that over 25,000 Fairfax County public school students currently receive special education services. When we look at the CIP projected increases in raw numbers, and assuming the percentage of students enrolled in special education remains constant, it means Fairfax County public schools will have the opportunity to educate an additional 430 or more special education students by 2021-22. Our organization supports capital improvements to serve our schools, and we encourage the school board to keep in mind the unique facility considerations that special education students require. Special education students are not a fringe special interest, but indeed important members of the complete student community and of Fairfax County as a whole. As stewards of the development of the minds, bodies, and intellects of our county's youth, it is critical that the school board recognize the importance of diversity and the needs of a range of students. Indeed, some of our world's greatest thinkers, inventors, and social ambassadors, including Helen Keller, Stephen Hawking, and Temple Grandin, have been people with disabilities. On behalf of the Fairfax County SEPTA, I thank you for your attention, and I invite each of you to contact our organization to learn more about our mission. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. John Kochka.
John Kochka, Falls Church, Virginia. We need continuing education for adults in Fairfax County to remind parents how the Obama administration violated the First and 10th Amendment rights of their children. Mr. Moon, were transgender students excluded from the anti-discrimination policy prior to May of 2015? Yes or no? Mr. Moon, please wake up.
Mr. Kochka, this is not a forum. We're happy to hear your testimony, but again, I'm going to have to remind you that
this is my testimony.
Excellent. Thank you.
Please state the name, Mr. Moon, of the Obama administration official, Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights, who sent the county the voluntary resolution agreement in late 2014. What was the person's name? Mr. Moon, what federal statutes, federal judicial decisions were used by the Department of Education as a justification to coerce Fairfax County to adopt Policy 1450 or lose Title I funds? The Obama administration claimed Title IX made gender identity a protected class. Title IX states, no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Mr. Moon, I will give you $300 if you can find the words gender identity in Title IX, or if you can prove the legislative intent of Title IX was to make gender identity a protected class. You can use the Congressional Record, the Federal Register, or any congressional debate transcript during 1972. Mr. Moon, who drafted Policy 1450 adopted in May 2015? Mr. Moon, did you advise Superintendent Garza and the Fairfax County Public Schools that Policy 1450 violated the First and 10th Amendment rights of the U.S. Constitution and Title IX? Mr. Moon, what was your role in hiring Jeff Poirier, who drafted the regulations fleshing out Policy 1450? Mr. Moon, did you advise Superintendent Garza to conduct a competitive bid process for the regulations created by Jeff Poirier? Mr. Moon is never at a loss for words when it comes to self-serving platitudes, but to ask him to be accountable for the Fairfax County Public Schools' actions, he simply stares off into space. Thank you for proving my point, Mr. Moon.
Thomas Penland.
Good evening. It's certainly a pleasure to be here. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity, and I too am also concerned about the bond referendum in 2017, that those funds be directed towards the facilities of schools that need them and that they be used appropriately and not for name change. That said, my past history, PTSA president, I had students at Stuart for 7 years. We enjoyed it, but we saw they needed funds, they needed money. And so we as parents went to work, and I think that's the name of the game. Created the tag day for the band. That only produced about $40,000 a year. Taste of the Town, that was good for about $50,000. Went out to the Barcroft community, pulled in about $20,000 for education. Started the scholarship fund for Thurgood Marshall, and that would bring in now, and I think it's around $200,000. But this was my efforts. So as I sit here 34 years later, and for those football players, and I congratulate you on that, I get to enjoy the cannon, because every time it goes off, they scored. And I live close enough that I can hear it. And we have to call and tell people, yes, Stuart scored again. Don't worry about it. The fight's not started. That said, on a lighter note, Jeb Stuart, you've heard all of it. Personally, I'm here as a result of that. My dad jumped in the 101st first wave in and walked across Europe. He might not have made it, but Jeb Stuart, thanks to his tactics, patent being put up in Upper England, Germans looking the wrong direction, we were able to be successful. We'd like to be successful with you folks too. We'd like for you to really consider what you're looking at in that name change. I've only put a lifetime over there, 34 years. My kids were well educated and they came out of there happy. And I can sit here and I can look down and say, okay, what happened with the surveys? Who did them? The 10,000 emails we've looked at, we got all of those facts. You've got them too, because they're part of your history and we understand that. So I'm not even going to belittle those facts. But I'm going to ask you to search your hearts out. Think about what you're doing. Look at the future. Think of our kids, because when it's all over with, it's the kids. You know, you woke up, Mama Bear, don't mess with her kids, Papa Bear, and now you got the Grandpa and Grandma Bear. And here we are, sitting there with our grandchildren looking at this school system and hoping it can produce. Stuart needs help. We came with finances, we came with money. Please put the funds into that school, because we know it's the most diversified school in the world. The president was there. We know Mel Riddle, through his efforts as the Teacher of the Year. You can all look back and see the history. You can see what's transpired there. Be a part of that success, because only through that success will we grow, learn the history, which we all know, and I'm talking about the past. We can't eradicate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. So we now go to item 3.02, the FY18 approved budget, and I call on Dr. Lockhart for a presentation. Welcome, Dr. Lockhart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, members of the school board, leadership team, and community. As I stated back in January when I stood before you with the proposed budget, I think it's worth repeating. Visiting our schools, I am always so energized how our teachers create engaging environments in which students become inspired in their learning. This is evident when you walk through a classroom and see students actively collaborating, whether it's on projects or problems or real-world applicability. Indeed, the portrait of a graduate is becoming a reality. We structured our strategic plan, Ignite, to ensure consistency in and equitable access to powerful learning environments for our students. We must continue to work together as a community of educators and learners to provide the support necessary for the success of all students. And this requires continued commitment by leaders at all levels. Consistent with my proposed budget, my recommendations for the adoption of the FY 2018 budget maintain the focus on FCPS's basic needs. Expenditures are increasing for requirements including enrollment growth and student demographic changes, as well as for employee retirement and health benefits. Our investments are guided by our strategic plan, with employee compensation in support of a premier workforce being the key priority. As you are all well aware, with limited revenue, reductions were needed to meet our requirements and invest in compensation. With my recommendations, the FY 2018 approved budget will total $2.8 billion and is an increase of 3.4% over the FY 2017 approved budget. Enrollment is projected to increase by 2,180 students next year, and combined with demographic changes will require an additional $12.7 million for 2018. While funding from the county increased, FCPS's largest revenue source was still nearly $60 million less than we had requested, so adjustments are required for the school board to adopt a balanced budget. Overall, the FY 2018 budget I'm recommending includes more than $50 million in reductions, including the elimination of more than 200 positions. In addition to the reductions, my recommendations include deferring recommendations from our compensation study and only partially funding salary increases for 2018. Before I present my recommended adjustments to balance the FY 2018 approved budget, I'd like to first review what will be included in the FY 2018 budget based on my recommendations to you this evening. Based on the spring enrollment projections, the cost of enrollment growth and student demographics for FY 2018 is $12.7 million. In total, enrollment is projected to increase by 2,180 students over the FY 17 approved budget, with total enrollment projected to be approximately 189,022 students. Beyond enrollment, there are required employer contribution rate increases for all of the retirement plans. The budget includes an increase of $2.9 million for employee health insurance. As is the national trend, FCPS continues to experience rising healthcare costs, but the rate increases for FCPS's medical plans were partially mitigated by cost containment measures, including a new pharmacy benefit contract. As outlined here and guided by the strategic plan, our students are always our #1 priority. To support them, we'll always need great teachers. The FY 2018 approved budget focuses on employee compensation with an emphasis on our teachers. Funding of $44 million for step increases for all eligible employees is included, providing an average increase of 2.5%. The investments in our teachers that the school board began last year to move our teachers closer to the market average will continue through a proposed 5-year plan to implement new teacher salary scales. Additionally, we remain committed to support all of our employees who provide critical service to the operation of our schools, from our principals to our social workers to our custodial staff. Based on the compensation study, $2 million is included to implement new salary scales, all based on market averages for classroom instructional support positions, as well as for transportation, drivers and attendants, and food service workers. While the new teacher and non-teacher scales impact a significant number of employees, we'll continue to work to implement new salary scales based on the market averages for all our other non-teacher salary scale positions in FY 2019. The $27.5 million base savings represents recurring savings due to position turnover in FY 2017. Position turnover represents the savings realized when experienced employees retire or leave the system and are replaced by employees with less experience who earn a lower salary. Beyond the investment in our premier workforce, we also have critical needs in our classroom identified by our strategic plan goal, student success. First, as part of our investment in early childhood education, the budget includes an increase of $500,000 to support the local match requirement that's necessary to receive federal and state funding in support of our current preschool programming. Second, a new $2.7 million investment is needed for the adoption of social studies textbooks. Third, funding of $1.4 million is needed for an assessment tool. We call it the Universal Screener. Results from the Universal Screener pilot have shown great promise in providing teachers with the timely information needed to make important instructional decisions regarding when to give students additional support or accelerate learning. And lastly, operational resources are required for student safety and to maintain ongoing operational costs. To balance the FY 2018 approved budget, revenue and expenditure adjustments of $45.6 million are necessary. I'm going to review those adjustments, starting with the required adjustments, and then I'll present my recommended adjustments to close the budget gap. Compared to the FY 2018 advertised budget, enrollment projections increased by an additional 248 students from 188,774 up to, as I stated earlier, 189,022 students. Based on the school board approved staffing formula, the final projection for enrollment and student demographic shifts results in the additional $2.7 million, including 53.2 positions as compared to what was presented in the FY18 advertised budget. The school board approved modifications to the ERFC retirement plan, which impacts members hired on or after July 1st, 2017. Recurring expenditure savings of $1.8 million results from health savings recognized at the FY 2017 third quarter budget review for the new pharmacy benefit contract and changes to plan participation. And lastly, there are two components to the Universal Screener tool, Universal Screener and online intervention curriculum. Deferring the implementation of the online intervention curriculum and introducing only the Universal Screener for the 17-18 school year results in savings of $1 million as compared to the FY18 advertised budget. Funding available from the FY17 third quarter budget review will be allocated to provide a $6.5 million increase to the budgeted beginning balance for FY18. This results in a budgeted beginning balance of $33.5 million for FY18. Fairfax County's FY18 adopted budget plan includes an operating fund transfer of $1.9 billion. This is a 2.79% increase as compared to FY17 approved transfer, and that results in $59.1 million reduction compared to the FY18 advertised budget. The FY18 approved budget reflects a $6.5 million projected increase in state aid as compared to FY18's advertised budget projection. The projected increase is due to the anticipated impact of the General Assembly's 2016 to 2018 biennial budget on state aid. And finally, the FY18 approved budget reflects a $2.3 million projected decrease in sales tax revenue as compared to the FY18 advertised budget. The decrease is based on the state's revised estimate for FY18 included in the General Assembly's 2016 to 2018 biennial budget. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the recommended operating adjustments and expenditures. Savings of $14.7 million result from increasing the staffing ratio formula at all schools by 0.5 students per teacher. Savings of $1 million result from increasing the elementary staffing formula class size floor from 17 to 18. For FY 2018, the Classroom Instructional Support Scale and a newly created Schedule H for contracted hourly positions, including food service workers and bus drivers and attendants, will be implemented. Deferring the implementation of the school-based administrator scale and other unified scales to FY 2019 results in a savings of $5 million from what was advertised for FY 18. Funding for the MSA for all non-teacher salary scale employees has been eliminated, resulting in a savings of $7.9 million. The FY 18 advertised budget includes $33.2 million to reflect 1/4 of the implementation for a new teacher salary scale. Full implementation of the salary scale is being extended by 1 year, resulting in a 5-year implementation plan and a savings of $6.6 million. Funding of $400,000 is included to place all parent liaisons on the unified scale and provide them with a step increase. It further provides funding for full benefits for those parent liaisons who work an average of 30 or more hours per week. The high school ESOL transitional program will be redesigned to be more efficient by utilizing hourly teacher funding and reducing the number of contracted teacher positions. The net impact of the position reductions offset by required hourly funding is a savings of $1.4 million. And department budgets will be reduced by $3.1 million. Non-mandated travel for professional development will be restricted, and school and department operating budgets for professional development will be reduced by $500,000. Funding for instructional materials will be reduced by 10%, or $2.4 million, through a decrease in the general education standard allocation per pupil rate, which provides funding for instructional materials and supplies to schools. As part of our ongoing review, and this is, I'll note a little new component here, as part of our ongoing review of transportation expenditures, as recommended by our recent audit, savings of $200,000 is possible. The FY18 approved budget estimates will be reduced based on trends in recent months, and FCPS's fuel reserve that was created last year is still available to mitigate any potential unanticipated rate increases. Lastly, summer school funding will reduce by $1 million. The reduction will impact summer offerings in FY19. Bridge to kindergarten, young scholars, high school programs, extended school year, and services funded through Title I will continue to be offered as is this summer. As recommended by the Budget Task Force, my recommendations also include new fees and redirecting $300,000 in cable funding from Red Apple 21 to the operating fund. A new pupil placement application fee of $100 per student per year will be charged to students who apply to attend schools other than their base schools. FCPS will implement this new fee beginning in the spring of 2018 for attendance during the 2018-19 school year. As recommended by the Budget Task Force, this fee will be waived for FCPS employees residing in Fairfax County who are requesting pupil placements. High school students who participate in one or more athletic programs will be charged one athletic fee of $100. I recognize and value the support that parents, and boosters, and community provide to FCPS's athletic program and recommend limiting this fee to one fee per year per student. My recommendation also includes new fees for advanced placement and international baccalaureate tests. This is a slight change from what I presented last Monday based on your feedback. FCPS will pay for the first 6 AP or IB tests. Students will pay for the full cost of any test taken that exceeds 6 while enrolled in FCPS, resulting in $600,000 in revenue. FCPS's policy would need to be revised to eliminate the requirement that students enrolled in AP and IB courses take the related AP or IB tests. For all the recommended fees, the fees will be waived for students eligible for free or reduced price meals. All right, looking ahead. As you're aware, the county has continued to forecast slow revenue growth for FY 2019. The school board and the County Board of Supervisors adopted a joint budget work plan to enhance collaboration and continue to address opportunities to improve the joint budget process and our ongoing activities. As we look to the future, we must continue to focus on our strategic plan priorities, further refining our process for prioritizing the budget with the strategic plan, and continue to advocate for our needs. As you are aware, I've decided to reconvene the Budget Task Force with a slightly different objective for next year. Rather than focusing on how to address any potential shortfall in our next year's budget, we are going to take a more focused and strategic approach to review selected programs with the goal of providing a balanced review of financial opportunities and impacts to our student outcomes. Before I go any further, I'd really like to take a minute. Thank you for enduring that recap of the last 5 months. I'd like to just take a minute to say thank you to Susan Quinn, Kristen Michael, Alice Wigington, and of course our leadership team for all their continued input and support and help during the budget process, as well as our staff, our principals, and our teachers who also have been helpful in providing that input and feedback. We have a great school system in Fairfax County. We have great people who are passionate about the work that they do, and they're passionate about doing what's right for kids, and they're passionate about the programs that we provide for our students. That's a good thing to have. It's a great thing to have. The budget has been a challenge, and I'm sure, based on forecast, we'll continue to face challenges next year. But I believe FCPS is poised for something greater and even better than what we currently have. To do that, we need to continue to work together to address those challenges. You've heard me say many times, together, it's possible. So here are opportunities to work together to make it possible over the next few weeks. Upcoming budget dates. We've got multiple budget meeting dates scheduled. Beginning next week, first on Monday, May 15th, we have a work session scheduled to discuss this and other recommendations for the approved budget adoption. And we have budget hearings on May 16th and May 17th as necessary. May 18th of next week is another budget work session. And finally, May 25th, the approved budget adoption. I'd like to this time say thank you also to our school board for your ongoing input, your advocacy for our system, and your putting the needs of our system first as a priority for our students. Again, while we face many challenges and work through challenging budget times, I recognize that everyone's passions, input, the opportunity to present and get feedback from you helps us shape what will ultimately become a budget. And I look forward to working with you over the course of the next several weeks to finalize that process. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lockhart. As Dr. Lockhart mentioned, we have a couple of budget work sessions coming up, but I know there are several board members who would like to speak to where we are, and I'm going to call on Ms. Hines.
Thank you. And I want to thank you, Dr. Lockhart, too. This is, once again, sort of a bad news budget, and it's tough to do all the things we want to do when we don't have the revenue. It'd be nice to get a good news budget more than once every 10 years, might be a nice change. I just wanted to mention a couple things. I also want to I want to thank our teacher association leadership, because I know I think the leaders of the teacher associations are in a tough spot always. They've got a lot of members that they answer to, and at the same time try to work with the board, and I think that puts them in a difficult position, and I always appreciate the spirit in which they cooperate and negotiate and talk with us. Just a couple of things. If we could go to slide 11, I just want to point out, I think in spite of the bad budget news, I want to thank staff and my colleagues on the board for working as hard as we have to try to protect our teacher salary investment. If you look at some of the things that we are doing, and I'll look at right up there on top, staffing ratio increase. Don't be fooled. That's a class size increase. That's what that is, okay? That means that classes will get larger. That savings of $14.7 million is a big chunk. And there really is only one other place where an amount of that size could come from, and it's compensation. There really is no other single item in the budget that could save us that much money. So we are going back to the community, and I'm working really hard to try to figure out how we can not have a class size increase, how we can pay for that $14.7 million with something else. But none of us wants to do any more to compensation than we're already having to do. And so I'm not sure where we'll end up on that, but it's a tough message to the community, this community, that we're talking about raising class sizes again, and we're doing it because we want to continue to invest in our teacher salaries. That's why we're doing it. If you look at some of the other cuts that you see here, again, elementary staffing formula floor, that's about class size. We're delaying non-teacher salary scales, again, protecting teacher salaries. Again, the market scale adjustment, that's for non-teacher salaries. We are, unfortunately, if you look at the top of slide 12, we're talking about having to spread out the teacher scale implementation, and I hope we don't have to do that. I hope we can find a way to get back to a 4-year plan rather than a 5-year plan, looking for savings in the budget somewhere to do that. But the reality is that we are still committed to investing in our teacher salary scale. We know that's something that we need to do. We had a shot in the arm last year. We were able to get a good start, and we're really trying not to lose that momentum if we can. And then also on the bottom of slide 12 there, central support to schools. Everybody talks about, well, take the cuts in central office. Don't take it out of the classroom. Don't take it out of teachers. And that's what that is. That's $3 million out of central office. And those are people. Those are jobs. And that, again, that is all to protect teacher salaries. So, you know, we're not there yet, but I appreciate all the work that members of the community have done. I appreciate the efforts that our teacher association leadership and our teachers have done to communicate with us and work with us to try to continue to invest in our wonderful teachers, especially this week, Teacher Appreciation Week. You know, we wish we could do more, but I do want to make sure to send that message to the teachers that we are trying very hard to protect you in this budget as much as we can.
Thank you, Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, on Monday we have about a couple of hours for the more discussion on the budget. So at that time, I'm sure the board members will have an opportunity to ask more on a Dr. Lockhart's latest proposals to meet the budget challenges, and hopefully, board members, if you have any potential amendment you want to share with your colleagues, please do that on Monday if you can. Having said that, I just want to go over a couple of slides just to make sure that we are all on the same page in understanding of the numbers that are presented to us. I'm going to go to slide number 6. The new teacher salary scale implementation of $26.6 million. That is a net after subtracting Dr. Lockhart's proposed reduction of $6.6 million by making it from 4-year implementation to 5-year implementation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And in the same way, if we go to, I forget which page, we are ERFC, yes, on page number 5, slide number 5, when you see that ERFC of $9.1 million, that is after subtracting what the board decided to do with the ERFC modifications of $2.3 million, correct?
Correct.
Otherwise, it would have been 11.4.
Right.
So maybe Ms. Quinn or Ms. Christine Michael could let us know when you add up step $44 million, teacher scale enhancement implementation of 26.6, and additional investment $2 million we are putting into some subgroups of our employees for the salary scale adjustments. That's put together, we have $72.6 million going into teacher salary, employee salary enhancement. In the similar way for benefit cost increase wise, we have a 25.5, that's for the VRS, and 9.1, that is for ERFC, and 4.3 and 2.9 for health benefits and others, correct? That's altogether about $41.8 million. So if you add up a compensation, salary enhancement for employees plus benefit increase, we are talking about $113.4 million, which is about close to 4.5% increase of this year's budget. Am I correct, ballpark figure? Whereas overall increase of budget is only 3.4%. So the growth of our salary plus benefit exceeds percentage of overall growth of the budget. That is, we are putting in more, try to put more money into compensating our employees. I want that to be clear to community and my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Mrs. Corbett-Sanders.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Lockhart, for this presentation, and to your whole leadership team for really doing yeoman's work in trying to identify ways of balancing the budget in a tough year. So we appreciate that. I also wanted to thank you for the commitment that I believe will be honored in aligning next year's budget with the strategic plan. As you know, that's something that I believe will allow us to make informed decisions going forward. So I think that is, I appreciate the commitment that you and your team have made to making it happen next year. I was disappointed we didn't get there this year, so that's something I very much appreciate. On the class size piece, am I correct in understanding that even though our class size formula does include a 0.5 increase in the ratio, that we will still have the cap on elementary class sizes? And so we do have the commitment that we made last year to keep all classes in elementary school below a certain level?
That is correct. We have every intention of keeping true to the regulation that we have in place for class sizes. And call your attention to the reserve that still exists to support any anomalies in our system where we have swelling enrollment growth and class sizes that don't meet those caps. We will address those.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Ms. McLaughlin?
I look forward to the budget work session on Monday, but I thought I might use tonight to maybe ask a few things that staff could look into before Monday. So in case it takes a little time to look at things. One of the questions I have has to do with the ERFC and the FCERS increased payment amounts, the $9.1 million and the $4.3 million. It's possible staff knows the answer to this already, but if not, by Monday. Is that matching what the Board of Supervisors is doing? Is that less than funding levels they're doing? Is it more than their funding levels? I'm just trying to determine. We've heard a lot about ERFC and that it is very viable and it's doing very well and we're funding it at appropriate amounts. But I thought that it would be helpful to just have that as a benchmark for looking at the fact that we are still having to, again, dig into our budget to figure out how we cover the additional $13.4 million in increased costs or increased contribution requirements. And so I would like to better understand how that, again, benchmark to what the Board of Supervisors are committed to FY18 in their funding levels. And the other thing that I think is important, Dr. Lockhart, I appreciated what you said about the AP and IB test fees, that if the board is to adopt this as is, then we would have to remove the requirement that students must take the test in order to get the weights to their GPA. But since that's sort of new, and I have been a parent of AP students, I'm trying to envision how that actually works, because right now, since we pay for everything, FCPS automatically signs up, my 2 older boys and my current son. If they're in the class, they're registered. So if we move to this model, how's that registration going to take place, and who's the onus to then register for it? Is it that the school system is going to just keep track and say, Ryan McLaughlin, you're now at test 7, so we need you to pay for your test, and here's a note home to parents, or it's a bill that we would then send, but they're still automatically registering. And the reason I ask this, my colleagues, is there are some families who will say, I appreciate that you're willing to now pay for up to 6, but my child just found out that in the course of taking AP Calculus, it just really didn't click. And I don't think there's going to be a score of a 4 or 5 that's going to get college credit. So let's just save the school system money, because they're probably not going to get higher than a 2 or a 3. I'm just wondering if we're even doing that piece of the equation, because right now it was always 100% of you take the class, you're taking the test. And I don't want to necessarily be registering kids who the families would say, I don't need you to pay the College Board for that. My kid doesn't want to sit for the test. So will they have a form instead that says, would you like to take the test? And it would be by, ideally, whatever College Board deadline is. So, I mean, I don't expect you to answer tonight, but I wanted my colleagues to think about that.
Sure, we're working on that. Obviously we don't have all of that fleshed out, but
okay.
Yeah, along those same lines of your thinking, I think it would be closer to when making a decision about whether they can take the test as close to the College Board's requirement as possible. To your point, there might be students who decide early on not going to take the test for this particular AP class.
Right.
So, but we're working on that. Good question. But
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And then the other thing that I was hoping that we'll just have as a data point during our conversation on class size is the dollar amount for the FY18 budget on the staffing reserve. I just don't have it in front of me, but how many millions of dollars and positions does the FY18 budget presume to have? Because I think that will be helpful to the community. So again, I don't need it tonight. It's okay. Those are things that you guys bring to Monday, I think will be important for us to know. And then I do hope that my colleagues, that we will be able to have the conversation about the athletic fee. Some of us asked the question, and I appreciate staff response on if we looked at a more Montgomery County model, which is an activity fee for students as opposed to just targeting the athletic community. And I know many of you have probably seen emails coming in from our athletic boosters, and they're legitimately concerned when they bring hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars in annually to support our schools and everything that goes on. And for some of them, they feel a little bit that they're just an easier, more identifiable way to charge a fee for the activity that they do. So I think that will warrant some discussion. Those were the big budget questions I wanted to make sure we had information for Monday.
Thank you. Mrs. Strauss?
Thank you, Dr. Lockhart and staff, for the tremendous heavy lifting and trying to help us all resolve this budget. And I think what you've put forth is extremely reasonable. Clearly, the board will have to, make one more round of discussions and see if there are other adjustments we want to make. But to a person, you've worked so hard as a team, so that we know that when you had to propose reductions, it was based on talking with the people who would be impacted, our classrooms, our schools, our central support. So these were very well thought through. So thank you very much. You've modeled behavior that we should all probably imitate. I have some interesting good news. In spite of our continued budget woes, on the one hand, thank you, Mr. Moon, for giving us the large aggregate numbers to show our determination to invest in our salaries and our pension funds for our teachers, because we know that the competition for good teachers, good and diverse teachers, teachers from everywhere, it is just highly competitive, and we are not at the market average for compensation, and that is very, very difficult for us. We've had 2 school years in a row where we have opened with teaching positions in schools that we could not fill, and that's a very dangerous position to be in, and we've got to dig our way out of it. So I think the proposals that we are making, hopefully, will continue to see some progress. I have visited all the schools in Dranesville except one. I've got one more to go. And I have been talking with each one of the schools about staffing and who is applying and who are the principals offering contracts to. First, the decision to allow principals to hire early. From what I'm hearing, it's a huge success. Principals, and across the range of Title I to schools that are not particularly needy and have great assets across the board. What at least they're sharing so far is that they appreciate the ability to hire early. They feel they will have a much better shot at getting high quality as well as diverse population and people that will come and stay. So that, in combination with the other things that we're trying to do, hopefully we will actually be able to fill all our positions. Then I also want to thank HR, because again, I'm hearing from every school, whereas Chase, they are very appreciative with the changes that you've made in the system for staffing. And Mr. Plattenberg, I also want to thank you and your staff, because I'm hearing that our projections for student enrollment, because again, and I can channel Ms. Schultz, it's important that we know who's coming in September. And we look at all of our resources, and our principals and our schools on the ground are just a great resource to know exactly who is coming. So again, I am hearing they are quite comfortable with the conversations between our own planners and our own school communities, so we can look at what is our trend, even conversations with real estate agents and their parents and what have you. The other question that I've had is for my schools that are not Title I, will they be able to stay under our 30-person cap? And I am hearing comfort that they will, that we have left the money in the budget. And again, as I've spoken to HR and staffing, they're pretty confident that we will be able to address the problem we've had in the past of overcrowded, particularly elementary classes. So whatever it is, all of these initiatives that we have put in place, hopefully we'll see us better staffed in the fall. The third question that I've asked, because I have several Project Momentum schools, and the question is the money that we are putting into those programs, is it worth it? I was able to look at some of the exit surveys from the teachers who are involved in that, particularly at Hutchinson, and it was remarkable. The teachers relished the opportunity to observe each other, to help each other, and to learn new and better and effective ways to meet the needs of their children. The teachers were enthusiastic about this opportunity for support, and so I was very pleased. I have a couple of schools that are being heavily supported in those initiatives, and they are very grateful. So that's the good news. These are tough budgets. It would sure be nice if we could have a little more relief. But I think we are pedaling hard, and I understand we are recruiting in Puerto Rico. Is that yes? So we will go throughout the world to recruit and hire the best teachers wherever we can find them. So again, on behalf of the principals and schools in the Dranesville district, thank you all very much. A lot of these initiatives seem to be paying off. Cross our fingers.
Mrs. Schultz?
That was a little bit concerning, Ms. Strauss, that we're going to Puerto Rico while we're trying to figure out where to put together the money. I'm not sure that was particularly encouraging. I appreciate the fact that you went to the schools, but the question is what's before us and what's before us on Monday. I got to tell you, I appreciate Ms. Hines highlighting. If we could go to, I think it's the 14.7 million slide on the recommendations. I have been, I have been indefatigable on this, colleagues, and you are going to get amendments from me. I appreciate time with Mr. Paris, who's been very generous with his time. I too have visited with predominantly my high school and middle school principals, and the problem that I have is we may have in place a policy that's kind of like an escape hatch for when we trip over a certain number in elementary schools. But to be perfectly honest, as a parent, you know how many children are in your elementary child's classroom. You know if you are in a 28 or 29 or 30 or sometimes more, depending upon if it's not a core class, you know that. Once your child hits 7th grade, you don't have a clue. You have no idea. Your 10th grader, how many children are in your 10th graders, algebra class, or your 10th graders AP comparative gov or French class? And when you find out there's 34 or 36 children, that's not only an instructional learning issue for the children, that is a burden on our teachers. And at the same time that we're squeezed on what we're doing with compensation and we're stretching out, fixing the salary lanes, the other side of the coin for recruiting, for teacher morale, for productive collaboration is class size. And we may have some, structures in place to dictate better what the core classes are, but kids don't just take 4 classes. There aren't just 4 core classes between 7th and 12th grade. And that is in this board's blind spot. And it has nothing to do with the work that staff has done. They've brought us exactly what we've said. And there was some kind of a mystery vote that happened here at the end of February where I never actually saw votes calculated. And then all of a sudden, before I knew what happened, a half-size class increase was thrown up on the board, and it never came back down. Like, I never saw 7 board members raise their hand and say, we are going to vote to increase class size. We didn't have a conversation with the teachers' organizations. We didn't really have a conversation with each other about what the implications are. And for me, the implications are not just the reality of what happens to student learning in the classroom, but it happens to, at the exact same time that Ms. Strauss is talking about, we're going to Puerto Rico to recruit. Why? Why are we going to Puerto Rico to recruit? The Commonwealth of Virginia has got to be producing. Oh, guess what? It's not producing teachers. It's not. The national teacher, student teacher in education colleges that are pursuing an education degree to come and teach is down 30%. Is down 40% in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we're not drawing people into the teaching profession. How do we help our recruiters, our principals, our HR staff, Dr. Ramey, how do we help them if we as a board give them the, hey, go sell FCPS, guess what? We had to do some reform on pensions, and we didn't give an MSA, and we stretched out the salary lane fix for another year. Oh, and by the way, we increased class size. I don't even understand how that's tenable. And for me, it's a no-go. And I will tell you, I'm going to just categorically say it right now. If we advance all the way to a budget, and that budget has a staffing increase right there, and even if we mitigate it, even if we squeeze some numbers, if we can't come to some kind of agreement, and it will be hard, and Mr. Parrish is over there mad at me right now, but I'm not voting for any budget that has a staffing increase, because I don't think it helps us now, and I don't think it helps us in the long term sell why it's a good idea to come to FCPS. And we can have all the little caps that we want down in elementary school, and that's great for their foundational years. That doesn't mean that all the teachers who are teaching in middle school and high school are not suffering. And Mr. McElveen and I on I don't know what occasion said, look, go find the classes in high school that could be delivered lecture style, because there are some. And certainly the kids that are in the highest level AP classes, where in 6 months or 18 months, they're going to be sitting in college classes that are 3 times that size lecture style. And if we have the capacity in some of those to stretch, that's innovation. That's us asking and seeking. But I can't believe that we've arrived here, and the muscle memory for this board is, well, you know, we can't figure out any other way to do it. So the easiest way, and everybody's got the emergency, something's happening. There's an Amber Alert for all the children, for all the children that should be spread out in the classes. But we cannot just decide that the easiest answer is, well, things are tough at the state, we're only going to get so much from the county. So guess what? We're just going to, the master switch is the muscle memory of increasing class size. In addition, the other thing that's certainly up here that I'll be talking to my colleagues about are athletic fees. Not everybody is an athlete. Why are athletic families bearing the burden? And Ms. McLaughlin, you're exactly right. It's not tens of thousands. It's not hundreds of thousands. There's $100 million in unappropriated monies that flows through our schools, and it is predominantly through athletics. And so that money is coming from athletic endeavors, gate receipts, and any number of things. Yes, it comes from fine arts performances and whatnot, but the vast majority of that is coming off of the backs of athletic students and athletic families. And to layer on and selectively tax, that's what it is. We've selected a particular type of student that we're going to come after, and we're going to tax them to participate is I think also not indicative of what a great and stellar system we are. We need to make a different choice as a board.
Ms. Palachuk.
Thank you. I want to start out by thanking our staff. I know it's been difficult. I don't think any single one of us is going to walk out of this budget pleased or happy or really feeling like everyone got what our school system need and what our kids need. That being said, in addition, I also want to thank Principal Perry at Pine Spring for hosting a roundtable with community participants this past Saturday, and I think we felt a similar kind of tension in the room. There are needs across the board. There are agreements and disagreements on what we need in our budget and what our kids need and what our families need. So I know it's not an easy year and definitely not an easy one for an interim to be leading us. I really appreciate your leadership and leading by example, as Ms. Strauss said, Dr. Lockhart. I will disagree with some of the things that have been said. First of all, when it comes to ideas around class size, my recollection is we did have a vote. We did see an original recommendation of increasing class size by 1 student per grade and by increasing the class floor from 17 to 19 students. The compromise by the end of that evening, if my memory serves me well, is that we decided to cut in half the increase of the class size, realizing that any increase in class size really hurts our schools and our ability for our teachers to teach. But but that the main two areas where large savings can come are either from compensation or class size, and we did not want the total reduction of that to come out of employee compensation. So I think that was a compromise that was made. In addition, increasing the floor really hurts the most our needs-based staffing in our Title I schools. So I think we at least personally, came to that conclusion. So that is my recollection of that evening. I don't think anyone wants to see an increase in our class sizes, and I know staff is working hard to ensure that we will be able to follow our own regulation and keep our caps. I know there may be discussion about looking at our end-of-year savings and anything that can go toward teacher compensation, especially teachers that may not see an increase from the teacher salary scale this year, into class sizes that will that need the most support. I personally would support that if that is brought forward by our staff. Beyond that, the new teacher scales, I know we want to have those implemented. We do keep falling behind. I know Arlington is way ahead and continues to increase their scales. Unfortunately, this year, we did not see an increase from our Board of Supervisors. We saw a very small one from the state, and those are our main funding sources. So as we move forward, as we end this year on May 25th, I hope those of you who are here tonight, who have joined us in past meetings, who have advocated, and who are invested in funding our schools in our county will start on May 26th to work with us to advocate to fund public education. It's been said before, Virginia has gone from top 10 to 43rd in funding public education. So I hope you will join us. The other things are, I appreciate that staff that you listened to the community and to those of us who heard some concerns and delayed the implementation of the interventions on the iReady. I know that it's important that we do that properly and decide whether or not it's the right way to do that. So I appreciate that that was removed and we were able to see a savings from that as well. Finally, recruitment. I have heard excellent things about both our IA to teacher program, and I know if we could fund more, we would do more. That we have heard great reviews, and it's a great way for us to help grow our own in what is a huge national teacher shortage. And locally, if we cannot compete, hopefully we can help our own stay with us in the system. I do support our recruitment. Unfortunately for the government of Puerto Rico, they are having to close some schools. So I hope we can help some of those teachers find a place to teach Spanish here in Fairfax County. Finally, please know that we are here to support this work. This really is, in my mind, going to be difficult. We have a few more decisions to make. I'm not sure, and I look forward to hearing amendments, whether they are to find ways to target the class size and have an alternate plan, or the fees that we're looking at. I hope that my colleagues who would like to advocate for that will bring forward some amendments for us to look at. I would appreciate that. And beyond that, this is difficult. Please continue to communicate. Our budget hearing is scheduled for May 16th, so please sign up on our website. Please feel free to contact your members on the Board of Supervisors and the school board. But right now, in the school board, if there are things that you wish to see on this list, if you want to advocate for something specific, I know that we are all reaching out to schools and to our community. So I appreciate that. This is not an easy budget at all, and I know we will have an important work session on Monday. So thank you again, and that is all.
Thank you. Before I go to go-backs, I'll just take a quick turn, and first of all, of course, thank Dr. Lockhart and staff for working with a very, very challenging budget year. Again, another challenging budget year, following basically a decade of underfunding, which is taking its toll. So I agree with Ms. Palchik that this is not going to be a budget that any of us are going to be thrilled about, but we are trying to do the best we can with what we have, with the resources available. I will say for my own part, I do feel that it is critical for us to bring the teacher scales up. That's been a priority of this board. We were able to do the first phase of an investment in teacher scales last year. It does pain me to think of going from, we originally, I believe, had a 3-year plan, and then we went to 4-year, and now we're looking at 5 years. And of course, the jurisdictions that we're competing with are also at the same time moving forward as well. So I do think that has to continue to be a priority of ours. I too will be looking to see if there are ways that we can reinstate a quicker salary scale increase, as well as making sure that we do something for those at the top. As we discussed, the step increase works for most of our employees, but we do have some veteran employees who will not receive an increase if it's limited to steps. So I believe that a number of members of the board were looking for ways at which we can make sure that we continue to reward our most veteran employees as well, our teachers who've dedicated their lives to us. So I will be looking at that. I do have some very significant concerns about a couple of things, and it does have to do with the fees. Dr. Lockhart, I do just want to clarify, I have had a couple of questions from my constituents. So our current plan is FCPS would pay for the first 6 AP or IB tests, and I guess in some of our schools we have both, not very many, but so if it's either or, it would be the first 6 for a high school student's career with FCPS, correct? And then beyond that, anything beyond that would be the family would have to pay for the test. The fees, both the AP, IB, but particularly the IB fees, give me great concern. I would not want to have anything that discourages our students from taking IB courses, particularly from pursuing the full IB diploma, and I know nobody on the board wants to discourage students from doing that. I fear that these fees might have that impact. The athletic fee, I've never liked the athletic fees. I didn't like them when we had them before. I don't like them now. So I will be looking to see if there are ways to deal with those, deal with that piece in a different way. And I do note that there's a waiver for those that qualify for free and reduced meals. All of our fees, every one of our fees would have that waiver, correct, Dr. Lockhart? But even given that, we do know that there are certainly people who don't qualify for free and reduced meals and yet would struggle to pay these fees, and they would land entirely or almost entirely on our high school families at a time that they're trying to save for the next stage of their children's lives. So that is something that I'm going to be looking at. As far as it also gives me great concern. The raising of the floor from 17 to 18, as Ms. Palachek said, it affects our highest needs schools, and that concerns me as well. So there's some good news in here. We've managed to fund some critical needs, and so I think we have the basis for a plan here, but along with my colleagues, I know I will be looking for some improvements between now and the time that we have to make a final decision. And with that, I'm going to start with go-backs. Ms. McLaughlin.
One thing I had forgot to ask is I remember at one of our previous work sessions, there was a board discussion about the fact that there are going to be some employees who won't qualify for a step, and that then given the cost of inflation, they could technically be having a lower take-home pay in FY18 than currently FY17. So there had been some discussion of maybe looking at a bonus, and so because again the MSA creates I guess a structural imbalance, if I'm using the terminology correctly. So, Dr. Lockhart, I didn't know if maybe on Monday that'll be, again, part of our conversation. And then just timing-wise, will that be something that we would look at the fourth quarter at the end? But I think it would be nice for employees who fall into that category, if they hear the board and the system kind of being mindful of that. So I just wanted to sort of remind everybody that was the conversation. The other thing is that at our work session, I've been getting information from the public where people have, citizens were doing analysis based on our FY17 teacher salary scale investment. And those individuals, when they ran the model, said, all right, based on what the school system infused through the salary scales, that now when you take total compensation of salary plus benefits, FCPS is closing, if not, did close the gap for the average total compensation in the region. And I think that's really important because one of the things I've always believed is that we need to have a comprehensive, holistic conversation, because I worry about teacher morale. And I know many of my colleagues share my desire to make sure that we are competitive and we don't lose our best teachers. But if we aren't intentional with the way we have this dialogue, and we at the board table keep saying things like, Arlington pays more than we do. But in actuality, if you're looking at, or that we don't pay as much as everybody else, but looking at total compensation, which goes back to the question of salary and on all the other benefits and pensions, then we're leaving our 24,000 employees, and especially our teacher employees, with the impression that they're being undercompensated in our district. And as we talk about this plan of the total teacher salary infusion that we've now shifted from 4 years to 5 years, but still $26 million a year is very costly. I think it's going to be really important that perhaps staff on Monday, when we're talking about this, to put this in context. What is this looking like in terms of total compensation if we're building on this 5-year plan of teacher salary scale enhancement? Yes, what do the slides look like salary only, but help our employees see what does it look like with total compensation, because I don't want to lose teachers, and I don't want to lose the ones who don't realize that when you add in the ERFC, especially on top of the VRS, and then what we provide our employees with health care benefits, it's not that you're being undervalued or undercompensated in FCPS. We are actually doing everything we can to stay competitive, but I think it's very important that we have the data charts to this rather than dialogue. And so I would ask that we think about how we put up some of those charts, because it's as important that all 12 of us as board members be able to speak as accurately as possible. What happened when we put in the FY17, teacher salary scale enhancement? What did that do to move the line? What will FY18 do to move the line? And do we need to put some of the community comments to rest of, is it putting us above the line now? And yet we still have a plan to keep going and going. I would really like to have that information. Oh, and then Ms. Palchuk, I so apologize that I was over here sidebarring when you were talking. I had heard the news report about Puerto Rico and them closing schools. And one of the things that I had heard is that in actuality, they have had a 42% drop in student enrollment because so many people are fleeing the economic crisis in Puerto Rico, but also mainland school systems are going and tapping thousands of teachers who have bilingual talents and bringing them here. So we've kind of been poaching as a mainland part of the U.S. Their teachers there, and so they're closing schools in part because we've taken some of their teachers, but mostly it's their tragic economic crisis. I think it's astronomical, actually. And My heart goes out to Puerto Rico.
Ms. Schultz?
Thank you for the reminder, Ms. McLaughlin. I also had a question. Ms. Michael, I think that during the last work session, and I don't even remember when that was anymore because we were meeting so often, so the last time we met probably, there was a question about whether you're able to update the previous report that we had gotten on class size actuals at the elementary school. Is that something that you all have been able to do or look at?
Yes, we were working on that, and we'll be able to give you an update on Monday if we don't have it tomorrow.
Okay, that's fabulous. And then the other question that I had, on the elementary staffing formula floor, is it proportional? So when we said 17 to 18 is 1 million, is 18 to 19 also 1 million? Or is it, I would think it would be more. I would think it would not necessarily be proportional.
I don't believe it's proportional. It's also impacted by the calculation that we did of the half of a class size, but it won't be exactly 1 million like it was from 17 to 18.
The other reason I want to bring that up is that if we go from 18 to 19, that's a double-edged benefit, if I understand, and that frees up some classroom space so that we could actually, we wind up expanding our opportunity for more pre-K. Is that correct? Anybody? Mr. Paris, Dr. Locker?
Right, yeah, I think that allows us to put more pre-K students.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember
So that,
the state, there's a cap, though, on the pre-K class.
You asked what you know what the cap is?
Yeah.
For VPI, it's up to 20, and for Head Start, it's 18.
Okay.
right, so but by freeing some of that capacity space, then we actually create, because part of our problem in not meeting, and certainly, I mean, I've always advocated that if you're going to meet the needs of pre-K, meet the needs of 4-year-olds first, because you only get 1 year. So, you know, next year they're going to be on your doorstep anyway as kindergartners. And so I feel like if we don't have the space and we move the floor from 18 to 19 and create the space, now you're able to help more 4-year-olds who are going to wind up being in some of these schools anyway. Right, Mr. Paris? Okay. All right, we'll talk about that over the weekend or Monday. Thank you.
Ms. Palchik? Mrs. Corbett-Sanders?
Sure. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the floor of 18 in elementary schools. It's my understanding that there's been a significant amount of studies done over the years about what is the optimum staffing level for especially students that are living in poverty or have English language learning as a characteristic. And that goes back to some studies that were done in the 1990s, in the 2000s, and continue to be done in the 2010 decade. And it was my understanding that the size, the optimum size, is that you start losing the benefit of for those groups of students once you get above 18 students. Is that correct?
I think it depends on which study you read. I'll be honest with you. I have heard that, Ms. Corbett-Sanders. I've also seen other reports suggesting other results. But if you're talking specifically about 4-year-olds or preschool students, it does get more challenging beyond 18, yes, in terms of the research. I'd have to go back and take a look, but I have seen varying degrees of a number.
I'm actually talking about elementary school, and I'm most significantly is the STAR study. Yeah. Yeah, the STAR study, but then subsequent to that, they've said as much as 18. And I guess I remember years ago when we first started looking at needs-based staffing in Fairfax County, the needs-based staffing formula was at 15. So I am encouraging my colleagues to realize that this is a good investment by keeping the floor as low as possible, and 18 is one that I think we've increased those classrooms by 1, which is twice that of staffing ratios elsewhere. So I will be supporting that floor. Oh, and just also, I know that Ms. McLaughlin is going to be coming back talking about the student fees, and I look forward to hearing some of your recommendations on that. I would encourage, I spoke to some of our band directors, and as many of my colleagues know, I am a band mom, and I confirmed again that our band students have been paying fees for a very long time, and those fees are to cover the cost of having band camp with effectively coaches during the summer. And they also pay fees to contribute to their consumables, and they pay fees to contribute to replacement of band uniforms over time. And so in addition to that, at least in my neck of the woods, I also know that our boosters have contributed towards turf fields and towards concessions and everything else. And so I don't think that it's an equity piece if we look at fees that are on par with what other groups are paying.
All right, with that, I don't see any other comments. So Dr. Lockhart and Ms. Quinn and Ms. Michael and all the staff that worked with you, we very much appreciate all that you've done to get us this far, and we will have more discussion on this starting on Monday. So I now go to Item 4.01, confirmation of action taken in closed meeting. This portion of the meeting is where the board will confirm any action regarding issues that were discussed in the closed meeting. These issues may include action taken regarding student disciplinary matters. Board members have discussed each individual case, and at this time we'll make a motion to confirm the recommended action. I call on Mrs. Corbett-Sanders.
I move to deny the school reassignment appeal of a student who physically assaulted and improperly touched another student, and to confirm the disciplinary decision of the division superintendent.
Seconded by Ms. Palchik. All those in favor, raise your hand. Palchik, Schultz, Corbett-Sanders, Strauss, Evans, Moon, McLaughlin, McElveen. All those opposed? All those abstaining? Wilson. That motion passes. We turn to the consent agenda. Our adopted rules of parliamentary procedure, Robert's Rules, provide for a consent agenda listing several items for approval of the board by a single motion. Many items listed have gone through board review, and documentation has been provided to all board members and the public in advance. Items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any board member prior to the meeting. 5.01, appoint individuals to serve on committees as detailed in the agenda item. 5.02, award the contract for the automatic temperature control system replacement at West Springfield Elementary School to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Engineered Systems, Inc., in the amount of $252,000, and authorize the division superintendent or the assistant superintendent of facilities and transportation services to execute and administer the contract on behalf of the school board. 5.03, award the contract for the running track replacement at Annandale High School to Field Turf USA, Inc. in the amount of $327,229.71, and authorize the Division Superintendent or the Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Transportation Services, either of whom may act without the other, to execute and administer the contract on behalf of the school board. 5.04, award the contract for the running track replacement at South Lakes High School to Field Turf USA, Inc. in the amount of $456,399.50, and authorize the Division Superintendent or the Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Transportation Services, either of whom may act without the other, to execute and administer the contract on behalf of the school board. 5.05, adopt the attached resolution requesting the Board of Supervisors to approve and take all necessary and appropriate action to place on the ballot for the November 2017 general election of school bond referendum in the amount of $315 million. 5.06, award the contract for the boiler replacement at Poe Middle School to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Edward Cochran and Company, Inc., in the amount of $314,500, and authorize the Division Superintendent or the Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Transportation Services to execute and administer the contract on behalf of the school board. 5.07, award a contract for the Madison High School synthetic turf field replacement project to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, the Land Tech Group, Inc., in the amount of $699,800, and authorize the Division Superintendent or the Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Transportation Services to execute, deliver, and administer the contract on behalf of the school board. Is there any objection to approving the consent agenda? Mrs. Schultz?
I actually do, and I don't know if I'm able to, in parliamentary terms, ask a question, Madam Chair, but if I could be granted the indulgence of just
what's your question?
I just wanted to ask Dr. Lockhart a question about the bond language.
All right.
So Dr. Lockhart, in light of some of the, and they may have not been particularly well informed about how the bond language happens, but I just want to clarify because I know that people brought it up tonight. The bond language, first of all, we don't control necessarily the bond language, and we couldn't caveat it per se in the way that it was being brought up tonight. I mean, we advertise what bond language is for, but then the voters just generally approve it. And maybe that's a better question for Mr. Plattenberg. There's a generic nature to the way bond language goes on the bond. There's not a great degree of specificity, correct?
That's correct. Are you speaking to the public comment from earlier?
About doing some kind of caveat on bond language.
Yeah, but you are correct. I mean, it is generic, and it is for capital funds, and any redirection for the purposes that were mentioned would be illegal.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that on behalf of the board, that we can't constrain it that way.
All right, thank you. So hearing and seeing no objection, the consent agenda is approved. Item 6, new business. The following are new business agenda items. There will not be a vote tonight on these items, but action is scheduled at a future meeting. 6.01, adopt the FY 2018 approved budget as detailed in the FY 2018 advertised budget, modified by the adjustments included in this agenda item. And that's all. That's enough, I guess. And so now we go to Dr. Lockhart for superintendent matters.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few items to note. Congratulations to all FCPS high schools. They have been designated among the most demanding public schools in the country and are featured in the 2017 Washington Post list, comprised of more than 2,300 top U.S. high schools. The Challenge Index measures public and private high schools' ability to challenge their students. A school's ranking is determined by dividing the number of college-level tests given by a school to all its students by the number of graduates for that year. The index is designed to identify schools that challenge average students. 7 teams from 5 FCPS schools were named winners at the state level in the 15th annual E-Cyber Mission competition, sponsored by the U.S. Army Educational Outreach Program. First place award winners included teams from Navy Elementary and Carson Middle School. Second place winners included teams from Culven Run Elementary, Rocky Run Middle, and Oakton High. eCyber Mission is one of several STEM initiatives sponsored by the U.S. Army Educational Outreach Program. It's administered by the National Science Teachers Association and enables students to identify real-life applications of STEM in everyday life. It challenges students in grades 6 to 9 to develop solutions to real problems in their local communities. Once again, we say hats off to Jeff Plattenberg and his facilities team, as well as our district and school leadership. FCPS has been named a 2017 U.S. Department of Education Green Ribbon School District Sustainability Awardee. The district was honored for its comprehensive Get to Green program and for achieving $10 million in energy savings during a 2-year period. Thank you, Mr. Plattenberg and team. The FCPS Comprehensive Environmental Education and Sustainability Program has been expanded into a district-wide program, Get to Green, whose mission it is to promote student learning and action across the curriculum using the environment as a foundation, aided in part through a partnership with the National Wildlife Federation's Eco Schools USA program. Initiatives in the Get to Green program are aligned with the district's strategic plan. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Lockhart. Next on the agenda is board reports, and I will call on Ms. McLaughlin to report on the Governance Committee.
So, dear colleagues, the Governance Committee met today for 2 hours, and we will be presenting a recommendation to you on a naming rights policy update, and very excited about that. I will be sending to you over the weekend just sort of a summary of information so that when we have that portion of the work session, which I understand we're scheduled for the end of the day at 4:30, so I want you to be super excited and super fresh on helping us finalize the board's viewpoint on it. And in terms of today, I was really very pleased that I think we're looking at a policy that is high level, but that also really helps give good guidance to the division on this. And so we'll be posting the draft recommendation. Mr. Foster was diligently working with us during the governance meeting, and so he'll provide that to the clerk, and she'll post that for everybody. And just to remind my colleagues that because it was the will of the Governance Committee, we wanted to wrap this up. We will bring the draft policy to all of you, and then hopefully, if we're in good shape, then we will very quickly then bring the FHFR contract for the board's discussion and consideration so that we can bring that for a vote as well. So timing-wise, I'm really pleased and very thankful to my colleagues on the Governance Committee who I have just put in an extensive amount of time to really trying to get to where we will be hopefully on Monday.
Okay, thank you, Ms. McLaughlin. And we now go to board matters, and I will call on Mr. McElveen.
Pass.
Mr. Wilson? Ms. McLaughlin?
I didn't have my calendar in front of me, so I'm hoping people will nod heads if my memory serves me well, but I believe Monday is the beginning of Teacher Appreciation Week. Is that the week? So it's this week right now. So teachers then, since tomorrow is the last day of Teacher Appreciation Week, to all of my teachers in the Braddock District Schools, thank you so much for the passion and joy you bring to our students each and every day, and the collaboration you bring to your colleagues, and the teamwork you bring in supporting the administrators and others in the building. It takes a village to raise a child, and you spend sometimes more waking hours a day with children than even families do. And so your devotion, your sacrifice, and the tenderness and care, as well as the inspiration you give to our children, will last with them a lifetime. So thank you for your service.
Mr. Moon?
Pass, Madam Chair.
Mrs. Strauss?
I just want to congratulate all of our music teachers and our sixth grade chorus concert, which was outstanding. And some of the music that the youngsters sang is the most complex I have ever seen presented in the sixth grade chorus. It was wonderful. We're moving into the end of the theater season. If you have not attended the wonderful play in your high school, I encourage you to do that. The Cappy season, we had our last weekend of Cappy's plays, and now we vote on, I should say the students, the critics vote on Sunday, and then we go into preparing for the gala at the Kennedy Center. So it's all very exciting. And the students have done a wonderful job, and I hope that you read the student reviews that are published from time to time. They are our own Fairfax County students who are writing reviews of our Fairfax County plays. Thanks.
Mrs. Corbett-Sanders.
Yes, thank you. And Mrs. Strauss, I agree. Read the student reviews. It is a lot of fun and makes you wish that you had a couple of extra days in every week so that you could see all of the plays. I was glad to see the Patch carrying a number of the Cappy reviews this year. I did want to let people know in our community that a beloved assistant principal, Mr. Charlie Price, passed away last week. He was the assistant principal of Groveton High School for over 10 years, and he passed away at the age of 92, and he was truly an inspirational man who ruled that building and made us all want to live up to our potential. And so I send out my condolences to Mr. Price's family, and for those that are interested, his visitation and services will be at the Shiloh Baptist Church this Saturday, beginning at 9 a.m. I also want to do a shout out, as we really appreciate everything that our teachers do, and Teacher Appreciation Week is an appropriate way of showing our appreciation, but it's something that we should be showing every single day. And a special shout out goes to the teachers at Bellevue Elementary School who started the week on a tough note when we had a water main break, and they demonstrated what the best of the Bobcats do when it gets tough. They all came together and ensured our students had productive learning and a safe and secure environment in a difficult situation. So thank you very much. To the best of the Bobcats.
Mrs. Schultz.
Just quickly, I want to thank the Irving Middle School principal and counseling staff for inviting me to their spring review and planning session. Actually, some of the most collaborative conversation I've had looking at their data. They have a brand new first-year teacher who is data-centric, as am I, and did some wonderful pulling of information about their attendance data, their subgroup data, and trying to help their students in middle school attend school and be healthy and not be stressed and not have discipline incidents. And it is a collaborative effort like that that really moves the needle for students in the classroom. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
Ms. Palchik?
Thank you. I do have a few things this evening because past 2 weeks have been full of just some very meaningful events, and I want to give a few shout outs. First of all, I know some of our schools started Appreciation Week last week, and this is the official Teacher Appreciation Week. Got to see some of the great things our families are doing to support our teachers and celebrate them this week and hopefully every week. So really big appreciation for all you do every day, and we hope we could do more. We will do everything we can to support our teachers this year and next year and moving forward. Finally, I want to thank the group from Nakasek who came out to meet with me this past week and shared some very courageous stories about some of the struggles in the community and everything they want to do to support our families and youth. So we're really appreciative for the work they're doing here in Fairfax County. And please continue to to support our families. Finally, as Dr. Lockhart mentioned, our schools have received a Green Ribbon Award. I was fortunate enough to be back at my alma mater, Mantua Elementary School, to visit the fifth graders as their teacher, Michelle Sullivan, who was just awarded the Summer Audubon Society Scholarship, helped them with a bird meaningful watershed educational experience. They had her parents came out to support them to do some bird viewing. Danielle Wynn from our stormwater group was teaching kids interactively about species they find in the rivers. And I had a chance to fulfill a dream of going to what used to be a farm behind Mantua. Sadly, there are no more horses, but there's beautiful wildlife in the stream, and we were able to go and explore. So really, STEM and creativity and nature all at once. So thank you for all you do and for your leadership. And I know Elaine Tolan, who leads our Get to Green, has also just been appointed to the Soil and Water Board, so I know that they will be grateful to have you. Next, I want to thank the JCRC and Temple Road of Shalom for organizing a panel last night, A Space for All, a conversation about ending prejudice in our schools. They brought out Dr. Ann Panarelli from our department, from Intervention and Prevention Services, her counterpart in Arlington, and our local Civil Rights Enforcement Coordinator for the DOJ, Mr. Stephen Gordon. It was a very powerful conversation. We had community members from across the county, and especially want to thank the students who were very courageous and stood up and shared their stories that they've bias incidents they faced in their schools. So I think it was a great start to a conversation that we're having across the county, and I hope we continue to support that work that's being done and that is very necessary. I want to thank Jefferson Village Community Association for always inviting local representatives, and this time representatives from the police department, to talk about issues in the schools, and our retirees who we got to celebrate this week as well. And then finally, this past Saturday was the memorial for Jim Scott, who is a former Providence supervisor and delegate. Mr. Moon, it was good to see you there. I was inspired once again to hear about his visionary leadership, his vision for founding the Office for Children in Fairfax County, for ensuring that we support the diversity of our county, and for supporting affordable housing. So it was touching to see again, and his widow, who is a fabulous ESOL teacher and wants to continue to be involved in the community. So thank you for your service and for reminding us why we lead in our community. And finally, a fun little thing I got to do was to take my niece to see Miss Darnat Koufax's daughter perform Honk at Hayfield High School. So that was, Edison High School. That was a special treat, and I appreciate all the work that our high schools do to perform, and especially to perform for our younger students. So thank you. Have a great rest of the week, and teachers, I hope you enjoy the last day of this special week and get to rest this weekend.
Ms. Hines?
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's been a week for remembering important community leaders. On Tuesday, I attended the funeral of Judy Azera. Judy was the principal at Louise Archer Elementary School in Vienna for 24 years. She was the principal when my children were there. Shortly after she retired, her successor actually hired me to teach there. So I just missed working with her as a teacher. But I was PTA president when she was there, and I got to know Judy very well. Judy also worked during retirement at Gatehouse in HR, recruiting and supporting new teachers. And it was wonderful to see everyone turn out on Tuesday to remember Judy. She went too young, too soon, and it's touching that her funeral was Tuesday. Yesterday, her first husband, Billy Ryan, who was a pilot in Vietnam and was shot down 48 years ago, the day before their son's first birthday, his remains were recovered, and he was actually buried yesterday at Arlington National Cemetery, the day after her service. So her son, Mike Ryan, gave a beautiful eulogy and described Judy to a T. Judy had a saying about Louise Archer Elementary that the kids repeated every morning on the news show, and it went, "Rain or clouds, the sun always shines at Louise Archer," and they would say it just like that. So Judy is just one of those lights that you couldn't believe would ever go out. And Mike, her son, reminded us all to keep that light inside us, to be more like Judy, which really means to recognize and celebrate the joy and potential and goodness in everyone, because Judy did that. And I can't do justice to his eulogy, but he did talk about, she passed away from colon cancer, and it was a very painful time for a couple months. It was quick, fortunately, I guess, but it was tough. But the whole time he said, she was constantly thanking the orderly in the hospital and thanking the person who was driving her, and making sure that her son Mike bought them gifts, and that they had time to celebrate, the wonderful work that someone was doing for her at the same time that she was suffering. So anyway, we all miss Judy very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. And I will finish up by mentioning a few events that were particularly inspiring. One was the Hispanic Leadership Alliance dinner, where several students with very inspiring stories were provided with scholarships. I think that hearing their individual stories tells you so much about what people can accomplish, particularly those that perhaps have come into with greater challenges than some others. We also had the spring retirement ceremony, and it was wonderful to see so many dedicated people and their families and friends celebrating anywhere from 5 years with us up to 47 years with Fairfax County Public Schools. So congratulations to all of those who are retiring this year. We also had excellence awards, a reception and a ceremony for some very innovative staff, teachers and other staff in our schools and throughout FCPS, and I was delighted to be able to participate in that as well. I was very pleased to go last night to Glasgow Middle School to be part of the ceremony for their excellent teams at the at the Science Olympiad. They went to states and did very, very well. And they combined that with an art exhibit, which again was very inspiring. I also appreciated Darul Hijra hosting a community dialogue and art show where people from throughout the community came and talked about what would help us come together as a community of very diverse people. And it was a lovely conversation with many people in attendance. So with that, this meeting is adjourned.